get the series in the end. So she can be weird, or she can just do something more normal and probably still obliterate Mcanning. Gotta say, it's gonna be
So strong.
up to Mcanning to do something, anything to even look powerful. You know, like I think his last two series were awesome. It's fantastic, but I mean, okay, there might be strong words, Wardy, but it's because Scarlett actually does this to a lot of people, right? Like, she makes them look just terrible. I love the spray.
Mcanning goes for the triple spray, and Scarlett just goes like, I mean, the wall off against the third Colossus. Amazing.
Yeah.
Lovely fun game. Scarlett even getting ahead. Does Scarlett get ahead on the spray game? She sprayed over Mcanning's spray, but he still has 2 down. I don't know.
I think Mcanning still wins that one. I cast the qualifiers of Fear Dragon, and of course Mcanning qualifiers, and he would not stop talking about Mcanning's ability to spray. He was like, I can't believe he got 4 sprays down. Watch how he doesn't, he doesn't have to accelerate again. Oh my God, the micro's amazing. And I was like, oh my God, stop. Look at that, 5 Colossus.
Did they change the cooldown of spray?
Okay, well, this is exact. I don't know. I have no idea.
I feel like you could only spray once every minute or so, which obviously is not the case right now. They're like just buff spray at some point.
I thought they did, and then when I brought it up, Fear Dragon was like, no, that's not it. And I was like, okay, I don't know.
We need the real experts in here.
Yeah, we do. People who actually use sprays. I have never sprayed in my life. That sounded weird. I've never sprayed in StarCraft 2 in my life.
Yeah, I had to take a moment to think that one through.
So, Stargate it is for Mcanning, despite having Colossus as his spray. Easily scouted by Scarlett as well as the front. I think was going to be scouted too. She's not going to do anything. Weird to upset this. Maybe she's going to plan on doing a mid-game attack. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, so far so good. I mean, there's also the point where if Scarlett just plays a standard game, she's also still the better player, right? She's still the stronger player with more experience. It's just she is so good at making it weird as well that is one of her strengths that she could play to reliably. I think a lot of the time you say, well, she's the better player, why does she have to play weird? But again, when she has so much experience playing weird, it could maybe just be that way to kind of take that extra edge. But I don't necessarily think that she has to do that, so I'm fine with it just taking 3 hatches, playing a fairly normal game. I'm kind of doing just normal stuff right now as well. Phoenix into Oracle, and yeah, I mean, I guess Scott will drone up from here. And I mean, I'm kind of opening in a way as well with the Stargate, right? Definitely makes him a little bit safer to a lot of early game shenanigans. So that puts him in a point where maybe Scarlett doesn't want to be too aggressive in case there was a Stargate over.
Mm-hmm. Well, when it comes to Scarlett's aggression, I wasn't thinking a good old-fashioned Lingall lane. I was thinking a proxy hatch, or at least a hatch, right?
Me too as well. There's a bunch of things that could have been right, but I mean that's the thing. She's good at proxy hatching, link flooding, 2 base playing. I mean, it's still a pretty quick lair off not much else. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that lair. I mean, it's certainly a greedier one, right? But you see this a Stargate opener, there's not going to be a whole lot to attack you. So, now that she needs a Bailey Nest, now that she needs a Roach Warren, but she could have even delayed the lair, is the thing.
I love him.
We see, yep, Fleet Beacon, second Stargate, +1 starts up. Scarlett should be well aware this is a possibility.
We talked about this a little bit earlier, right? When we were talking about DNS versus Serral in the pre-show or so. But it was this kind of you can do the double carrier rush sort of thing. I actually really think this is a legitimately good build, and Scarlett did lose to this build last season when Neeb did it, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, was it on this map too?
Yeah, on this map, in this exact
Oh my
scenario.
God, yeah.
So, yeah. As,
Oh no, we need that one.
we definitely do need that one. So I'm kind of going to take a moment. So the game just can't quite handle all the potential carriers that are about to build.
I can't. It saw the interceptor count rising in the future, and it's I'm bounced. I'm a head out. That's unfortunate. So this seems like an actual disconnect. We're gonna have to probably rehost, regame. Luckily, StarCraft 2 is not back in 2012. It does have recover game.
So Scarlett's going into a Hydrogen, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is if she's going into a Hydrogen, does she? Because this is obviously.
Oh.
Hello. Okay, the game just came back.
No
And
pause? All right.
is Mcanning here?
I was going to say, like, usually if it goes past like 15 seconds, I would say it almost always just like,
yeah, Mcanning just reconnects
completely.
after like half a minute. It's just like, sure, no
yeah,
problem.
that's odd.
Yeah,
And then
so,
usually they're aware of pausing, but we're good. Everyone's here.
so yeah, my question is, do the Hydras have some potential to just kill this carriers with like a timing? Because obviously we don't usually see. I think this carrier build works because fast Hydras like this aren't really a thing anymore. So do you think that it just kind of dies to this? Is there any hope for the carriers?
Interesting questions. I have seen some people over rely on Hydras. Right. So there are a couple things can happen, right? With Hydras, they can try and attack before the carrier count gets high enough, and they think, okay, if I like nip it in the bud, then that's going to be great. And then because they're on like kind of like not a great unit Hydralisks, and they don't kill the Protoss, that's actually I feel what a lot of Protosses depend on. The overcommitted mid-game didn't quite work out attack that puts me into a comfortable position to max out on carriers. And then I've seen people who think that Hydras can just do it, you know, even towards the late game, and that doesn't seem to really work out. But when we're talking about Scarlett and her insistence to go into Hydras, I do think that this would work when she's maxed out. As we also see a Lurker Dan, it's not going to be a pure Hydra attack. She's thinking about the future. I could definitely see it working. But then again, this also might be that overconfidence I kind of brought up a little bit. You know, if Scarlett's like, oh, it's Mcanning, it's no big deal, she could underestimate the power of the turtle carriers.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of with you as well. You make some good points there as a few drones are going down on that third base. I think that's cleaned up a few depths there. I mean, in a way, this is also, though, just to bring up kind of our narrative from earlier. This is Scarlett doing something weird, right? The Hydra Den alone was weird, but now super fast lurkers off like, it's like Ling Hydra Lurker. It's a weird comp. It's something very different that Mcanning probably doesn't have a lot of experience against. And obviously now Mcanning's made it weird himself with his own build order. I mean, this feels like the kind of composition you generally want to have Storm and stuff against, but Mcanning is very far away from having anything along those lines right now.
You know what? It's so nice that I actually got to cast Mcanning's qualifier games. This happens so often. The games I was thinking of, I didn't realize it, but I remember now. Like, it was the Zergs against Mcanning, actually. Those are the games that I was alluding to. Like, yeah, some people tried to kill him, and then it didn't work out, and some people tried to take it to late game, didn't work out. Those players were not Scarlett, though. They didn't even qualify. They're not here because they lost to Mcanning. So this is something that Mcanning is actually familiar with. I can say that 100%. He has been up against people who just insist on Ling Hydra, or mostly Hydra. I do think that when you account for the pro gamer that Scarlett is, that, yeah, all those things you just mentioned that are kind of missing could become a problem. But even this, I would say, is not too bad if he has shield batteries and maybe like another carrier about to pop out. He's got 3 carriers that are close to popping out. If Scarlett commits to this attack, she could make a mistake. She could regret this.
Yeah, I don't like her attacking. And I think like if you hit when there's 2 to 4 carriers, okay, but now there's 5. We're getting to the very scary part. Nice to know on +2 air weapons, but is it going to come back to bite it? Because now these carriers are able to fight. And look how fast those Hydras drop. There's a lot of them going down. Is the interceptor count going down fast enough for Scarlett here to make this work? It might just about be. Extra few Hydras show up, and now she's going to have the numbers to push this back. Okay, but it's very close though, right? It was borderline, like 1 or 2 more carriers could have been that tipping point.
Yeah, exactly. If those 2 carriers that are now finishing were actually here from the beginning, like, that is an absolutely huge difference. Now it's going to be really tough for Mcanning to remake those interceptors. If he could get just 30 seconds, he'd have all the interceptors, and that would be fine. But Scarlett, a couple of Hydras and a little bit of a force field going down a little here, kind of like that, but it looks like the whole idea of, well, Scarlett's just a bit better than anyone he's faced currently, or faced in the past. Like, it is too good. Pro Pool might help. Not even. Nope. Not Scarlett's one.
I mean, at this point, he just doesn't have the time to build the interceptors that he needs to actually start fighting this, right? So it's just a downhill battle. You're just firing interceptors in that, just instantly dying pretty much. You need these carries to be maxed out on interceptors, and then once again, maybe there's a chance. But that's why Scarlett keeps pushing in, because she doesn't want to give Mcanning that time. And that will be game. Scarlett takes it off to a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it really is. To me, I just look at it as the power of you know, there's good players, there's great players, there's the pro gamers, and Scarlett's been a pro for a very long time. She hit that probably with 5-7 more Hydras than anyone else has, and got it started a little bit sooner too. Maybe if Mcanning had not taken an engagement around his 4th, maybe that also would have been better. Instead of losing the interceptors and having to rebuild them, but It is what it is. Not surprising to see Scarlett up 1-0, but that was probably one of the better starts for Mcanning that he could have had. Nothing happened on Death Aura, a nice 4-base map, and he still ended up losing when he got into his prime position. Doesn't bode well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this just kind of shows the skill difference between Scarlett and Mcanning, and yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say on top of that. I feel like Mcanning had a fun little style. I do feel like Scarlett's style obviously kind of had a natural counter to what Mcanning was doing, right? And yeah, okay, she macroed well enough to get enough Hydras up to make that fight happen, but imagine Mcanning gets to start where Scarlett maybe does invest into something other than Hydras initially. Those carriers can leave the base and put on that bit of harassment, right? Maybe then there is some hope. Not 100% sure, like, if there's enough hope, but I mean, maybe a little bit unfortunate there for Mcanning, because that was just a fast set of Hydras, like the fastest Hydras I've seen in ZVP in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I thought maybe the faster layer was like, yeah, it's not really necessary. Why not drone a bit more first? But it turns out it worked out well. She still was able to drone very well. And then you got the Hydralisk Den a little bit faster. Didn't end up using the Lurker Den, by the way. She was prepared to, if it really was kind of that awkward, oh, I can't quite kill you, like I guess the game goes on. But she did. And it was well done. So Mcanning on Ice and Chrome. I feel like he just does it again because it's the map.
Yeah, I mean, he could do. Like, if that's how he... I mean, if you cast a bunch of his games, what other styles did he really bring out?
To be honest with you, all I remember is that it's Carriers and Void Rays eventually. He might have had different openers. I'm fairly sure he had different openers, but for the most part, his goal was to get to the late game.
You know, I just asked you the sort of question I hate, because everyone's like, yeah, so what did you do in the qualifier? I'm like, I don't know. I cast like 7 qualifiers that week. Like, I've got no idea what he did. Yeah, it's fun though to see Mcanning here and obviously putting up a bit of a fight for sure. I love that he's 2-0 in the group, honestly. Like, you know, even the plays he's beaten so far, I wouldn't have really favored him against as well. So, really exciting times.
Mcanning usually gets in, and then because he is a good player. I mean, he's talking about as a streamer, but he's obviously GM. But he usually gets in as a maybe like a 50-50 shot, depending on like how seeding goes, and then he does usually end up being the 7th or 8th person, just amongst the people who consider themselves semi-pros or pros, right? Pretty sure Mcanning has just said, like, it's just a benefit. Like, if I'm good and I can play competitively, that's great, but I'm really just, I want to stream and I want to be fun. But he can apparently do a bit of both, which is just awesome. And I know people love cheering for him, so it's great to see him up 2-0. What were his matches? Like, who were they against?
He played, he did play against Vindicta, and he also played against Cuddlebear.
Oh,
so Cuddlebear I could have seen maybe being a bit more like 50-50. But Vindicta, to me, like, I feel like is meant to be a favorite against Mcanning. So for Mcanning to get that 2-0, that's that part to me is surprising, right? Like, if he was like 2-0, 4-0, and he beat like Cuddlebear and like Disc, then I'm like, okay, you know, that can happen. But like Vindicta for me really is one of the NA players that's really pushing another level in NA, right? Really pushing to be one of the top dogs. So
yeah, but he does seem to be a little bit hampered by TVP. He doesn't seem to quite have a control over it. You know, he'll try and do their usual move outs and pokes and prods, and then it won't quite work, and then he'll kind of haphazardly get into a Liberator phase. That's what I've seen anyways, but to be fair, I don't think I actually cast him in the qualifiers. He could have a different way of approaching it, but clearly Mcanning was the better PBTer that day. That's actually very strong then, indeed. And when I looked at the rest of the guys too, Mcanning's next match will be up against Silky. I was like, that's actually possible. Unlikely, but possible. I think he obviously goes down to knee, but I think he even faces like Disc. I think PvP is like, yeah, absolutely, Mcanning can do that. It's a very real possibility Mcanning makes out top 4.
Amshaw's going to be difficult though as well, right?
Yes, yeah, so, absolutely.
This group is honestly like, I feel like it's stacked. I mean, I guess like it's because Mcanning's on the top, so I'm seeing like Scarlett, Neeb, Silky, Namshaw. I'm like, wow, there's 5 great players in this group. But I think Scarlett, Neeb, Silky, Namshaw, like the players we expect to get out of here. But yeah, right. You know, all it takes is one upset against those top 4, and you're within reach. It is possible. Oh, look at this. We've added the cameras. But game number 2 is in the top right-hand side. We've got the Blue Protoss player. It is Mcanning.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, she is Scarlett. Mcanning will definitely have to upset dramatically at least one person. But is that going to be Scarlett here right now? Probably not. For Scarlett, she's already taken down probably the hardest fight she has. I mean, some people say that her versus Namshar might be, and that's actually happening later, isn't it?
Yeah, is that today?
Yeah, I think that's today. Oh, maybe it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. You got me excited.
I'm sorry. My bad.
I'll forgive you.
Anyways, that might be a tough one for her, but I don't really doubt Scarlett's CVZ.
Yeah, her CVC is terrifying at times.
I love that right
result-
now. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say result just in on the B stream, Neeb 2-0 against Vindicta. Kind of an expected result, but
Yeah.
still nice to see Neeb just kind of moving through there pretty cleanly. So, well, addition. So there's obviously a lot of matches still going on at once in NA, so make sure you check out those other streams.
Exactly. Yeah. Need a bit of a question mark, honestly. You know, after the War Chest Team League, it was kind of awkward. But what wasn't really pushed is that like everyone who weren't, all the players, the commentators, everyone who super spoke to him, like anyone who checks like the ladder results, he actually was doing really well in Europe on the ladder, like really, really, really well. It made no sense that he did so poorly in War Chest Team. Like it just didn't.
He just didn't want to disappoint Fear Dragon. You know, all the pressure was on, and then
too much pressure. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, you know, Casper Cup finals, no problem. Fear Dragon's my mentor. Ooh, that's a little bit.
Ooh, that's a strong word right there, mentor.
Yeah, you know, Fear Dragon, he was the god of the Protoss players in that event, and he was moving the pieces, and they were just trying to execute his plan.
Oh boy, I guess so. I guess so.
And there's a reason they didn't make playoff CG. Just
yeah. The this tournament for Neeb is actually kind of like the reminder that he is actually good. That was just a weird fluke. But enough about this guy. Enough about that Neeb. How about this Mcanning going once again for the Stargate? I think it's the style that he was been using. As I said, I don't remember every game. I don't remember if we changed it up too much, but it's a style he's been using, and also it's Ice and Chrome, which is another map that is popular for it. Question is, does Scarlett try and just hit the same attack to kill him? If it's really going to go the same way, why not?
Yeah, no, I mean, it depends on the opening, right? There's a Void Ray first. I mean, that's fun. Change. I feel like this is like the one thing which has really changed with the Void Ray change is that you can go Void Ray instead of Phoenix at the start of the game. Because that used to be a thing as well, and just kind of then people are like, yeah, actually it doesn't do anything for me, but now people are like, yeah, maybe I can do this again, and you know, it's a little bit different if they want to roach attack me, now they can't, and it's like, cool. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if this is more than one Void Ray, then we can really get excited, but as a Twilight Council, also our dreams are dashed.
Yeah, okay, it's going to be more interesting. He has done the, like, triple Void Ray poke, whatever you want to call it, that kind of catches the queens off guard and starts to attack the third, but not this game, right into that Twilight Council. So, wait, what is it? Just like Twilight Council.
Yeah, is he just going to go, like, charge and, like a one Void Ray charge all in or something crazy? That or he just goes Glaives and he goes... No Warp Prism, no problem for Mcanning, trust me.
Okay, alright, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, that's a pretty good point, yeah. I don't know, just gonna be Glaives. Even Glaives, I'm kind of like... I mean, I know Glaives without a Prism used to be a thing, but it's like, I'm just so used to seeing it with a Prism now, I'm like, can this work? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're right, it used to be a thing, so you would make a decent number of Adepts and shoot them across the map without much, or any reinforcements, right, as you get your third down. So this will be a surprise for Scarlett. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a surprise enough, though. Like, I like the idea of trying to basically make Scarlett think that you're going to go right into Stargate, so maybe she does, again, do the just straight into Hydra thing, and then you catch her, hopefully, when the Hydra numbers are very, very small, and they're not protected or any other.
I mean, that's a cool idea.
No upgrades, but I don't think a non-super committed, no Warp Prism Depth Attack is going to quite do it. Plus, it's not even going to be Hydras. I did think that layer was even a little bit faster. And yeah, it's for Spire.
So the Spire is awesome because if she goes Mutas, she can kill the Adepts, and if she goes Mutas, she can kill whatever the Stargate unit was. But that was actually a fake from Mcanning, I think. He started +1 air weapons and cancels it. So yeah, it looks as though I mean, the Spire is just, I think, is a naturally good call. She sees all of these Adepts. I mean, obviously the Spire is not ready yet, so maybe there is still hope for Mcanning. He's up against Pure Lings right now.
Yeah. And I mean, if this is Hydra's on the way, the Hydra'd still just literally be on the way. This is what he was hoping was going to happen, and it is. So can he capitalize on it? Scarlett has she has so many queens to try and help out. Those queens won't die very fast, but they won't kill the adepts very fast either. So that's always that weird dynamic. But they can certainly help with the link that's around. They do, but the Shade's about to head into that main base. Already a couple of adepts went down. The drones have to be pulled away from this. So far, 6 dead, and a scout on the Spire, but can Mcanning actually respond to that Spire? There he goes. Blink and Phoenix immediately start up.
Yeah, the Phoenix obviously going to be a good one as he goes back to the low ground. Again, these links are just not cutting it. Remember, these are adepts that haven't really been reinforced as well, so imagine there was a warp prism here. More adepts are going to shade into the third, so Mcanning hits the main again. Adepts in the third base, and Scarlett's going to lose drones upon drones. I think Mcanning's doing this.
He certainly is getting a hefty lead in the beginning of the game, but Scarlett and Muta's name a better combination. And once she cleans up the adepts, we might see some magic be worked with the Mutas, but it might be difficult to do. I mean, first of all, she's going to lose more drones. This is not done. And second of all, Phoenixes are started, and Mcanning already has his third base at least ready to grab a couple of cannons and shield batteries. So 23 drones in total. Yeah, no focus fire at the last second there. So 23 drones. Scarlett has her fourth base up. She will go into pure droning basically from here on out. I mean, maybe she makes a couple more mutas, but she can take no more damage to her economy, and she needs to get the ball rolling on the mutas. She needs to do some damage, get some pylons, stop the Phoenix count from growing, something.
Yeah, the muta's obviously going to be the issue, is showing up right away here if you Stalkers warp in, but this is Scarlett's time to get back in the worker count for sure. She can get like 10 to 15 workers, then I mean, I'm pretty okay with it. Problem is, if she gets 10 workers and loses all the mutalists, then I'm not so okay with it, because that's a huge investment which then has no follow-up anymore. So the Phoenix are out, they shut those mutas down, and suddenly the muta count doesn't feel as though it's going to be striking again anytime soon.
Yeah, not a complete turnaround, but that was actually pretty nice from Mcanning to stop more probes from going down. Perfect response too. Like, he made enough Phoenix to really clobber the mutas, tell them to go away, and then just stop making Phoenix. Gone into the next phase here, which will include disruptors, because that's what Mcanning does. And disruptors were the first response to lurkers. Back when Legacy of the Void was first created, we had a lot of that dynamic. 2-shot lurkers. Problem is, a lot of things changed from that point. So if this is going to be disruptors and not Colossus, I guess I jumped the gun on that one, but let's say it is. Disruptors aren't exactly an answer, and I'll discuss that when maybe we see what does come out of these robos.
Yeah, as you see, just a few of these adepts down left side. Queens get here pretty quick, and the adepts will take some shots pretty easily. I mean, the Phoenix just hunted around to see what they can do, and I think they find a muta or so, but the Hydra's starting to come out, and that's good info, and it's actually just going to be Colossi for the Hydras. I like it, honestly, with Colossi already on the way up as the first Hydras come out. Mcanning is once again well prepared and well planned for the rest of this game.
Yeah, I like it as well. He has done a good job of shedding just the disruptor skin that he's worn for this past, I don't know, 5 years. And he's been playing some normal games, and pretty well too. The funny thing is that like disruptors could have been an answer against the lurkers, which he should anticipate. I don't think you expect just a pure Hydra attack here. Yeah, they would have been complicated and more difficult to use, constantly being found in position, all that good stuff. And lurkers now get an upgrade when the Hive is done to be able to micro against disruptors very easily. It's going to be a bit of a mix, it looks like. I don't mind that at all. He's going to have to deal with the Vipers. That's going to be one of the biggest issues. So Templar Archives hopefully goes down. Feedbacks are hopefully prepared. We have found ourselves in a bit of a late game PVZ. That's late.
Yeah, and kind of a weird way to get here as well, of course, is I guess now as Hive comes up, we'll get into some lurker upgrades, and this is where I get a little bit nervous for Mcanning though, because this is where Scarlett's experience can really pay off, because, you know, now she starts playing this game where it's all about positioning, it's about, you know, making your opponent move where you want them to move so you can get into good positions elsewhere, and I feel like that's where Scarlett might just have like a step up on Mcanning, so a little worried about this game going on a bit, but I mean, it's not like Mcanning's had a huge opportunity to kind of come across and end it, so we'll see what he does when he does kind of look for an attack, if he does at all, because now he goes for a Fleet Beacon. Doesn't look like we'll have any sort of ending move from Mcanning anytime soon.
Nah, he's not going to be able to control Scarlett, which means that Scarlett has gotten up to 84 workers and 5 bases, and she's probably going to be the first one to push out and start that, back, left and right, left and right. That's going to be difficult for Mcanning to respond to. It's too bad. I think Mcanning, just if he was like literally one of the best pros in Europe or something like that, I think he is trying to kind of posture a little bit, clean up some creep spreads, see if he can engage on top of any of these armies, but yeah, I think the safer option for him, for multiple reasons, is to go just right into the late game and hope that she doesn't kill him before he gets to a certain number of carriers.
Goes straight to Mothership, going into Storm. Mcanning's just embracing the fact that this is going to go long here in Ice and Chrome. As you see, these meters are going to turn back around from Scarlett, and I like what she's done with the fairly low meter count, right? Just kept them active and looking as a way to shut down, adept run buys, shutting down, a bit of vision with Hallucinated Phoenix. So I like that as these few Zealots actually find some queens on the front. And what's so scary about playing Scarlett is that all of a sudden you kind of take a moment to set up a base, and the next thing you know, the creep spread is almost like on top of your base. It's terrifying. Suddenly Scarlett's got creep in every avenue of the map. Like, you don't go anywhere without Scarlett having a really good pre-warning system letting her know you are on the way.
I swear, if she didn't have a metronome for creep tumors, I think she might have already swapped over to Protoss. But it's just too much of a natural talent to let go. This is a good attack, actually. This is exactly what I wanted Mcanning to do, but I thought he was going to be too inexperienced, is the word I'd use to do it. But this is not bad. War Prism in the main, attack through the middle to clear up at least some of that creep spread. And this attack in the main might get a couple of drones as well as some upgrades. Nah, they kind of get derped on top of the lurkers.
Bunch of drones going down there. Mcanning's going to come all the way down this bottom side, blinks in and gets a queen. Oh, the disruptive shot on top of the Hydras. That's amazing. What a start from Mcanning. Obviously, the force field's keeping the lurkers out of position too. He's going to back away, though. I think that's a very mature backing away, because it feels like he's like, oh, I could get the base, but no. He's going to lose his army if he ends up taking a fight, but he's killing so many drones in the background. Scarlett's got basically nothing left in the worker lines.
Yeah. I mean, she's trying to at least take the army fights, but it's not going that well. I think she grabbed the Colossus and maybe a couple disruptors, but ultimately Mcanning is going to evacuate with killing 40 drones almost, and both evolution chambers. She instantly remakes 30 drones. Because she does still have an okay army, but Mcanning, he's building up towards the next level, man. Like, he's going to be so far ahead pacing-wise.
Yeah, it's 30 drones that just aren't units right now, right? When Mcanning gets in here, he snipes the base, he's going to get the Spire. I mean, these Zealots are still just going, right? This has been ongoing for like 2-3 minutes almost.
Yeah.
44 drones, Spire, Lurker Den, those Evo chambers you already mentioned. Finally, the meters show up in the main base to save the Lurker Den. They do not. Wow. All the protectors going down.
If this was any other dynamic, I'd be like, well, the Zerg is absolutely dead. But I'm like, well, maybe, I mean, still, Mcanning could maybe throw this a little bit. Scarlett could make the comeback happen. This is devastating damage. She had muted specifically to try and stop a War Prism from coming in. I think they got distracted by a couple Hallucinated Phoenix. And then I guess she thought it was going to leave. So she didn't really commit to the, or maybe there's something about like, she meant to burrow some lurkers, but then moved them back to the front lines before they actually burrowed. I don't know that can happen. Like, something happened. To have Zealots in her main and natural really, really sucked. And then, of course, there were just 2 random ones on her 4th or 5th, rather. That also was pretty bad. And then she didn't even really, really, really win the fight. But she still has a good army. Theoretically, you could take on Mcanning's, but as Mcanning continues adding more carriers, that gets less and less likely, actually.
So a lot of Hydras up this left side from Scarlett. Do you see the Vipers just hanging out on the back? I mean, Scarlett's getting maxed out, but if Mcanning takes like a decent fight, he's got the money to rebuild himself. That's what Scarlett doesn't have the luxury of. She doesn't have the luxury of a bank. And she's honestly not really got the luxury of that many mining bases. If this is a 5th base, if that gets taken down again, that's obviously problematic as well.
It must be a bit of a shock not to be able to double expand against Mcanning. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure she just figures, like, I'm going to win this. But, well, they do maybe occasionally hit on ladder. Maybe there's some more interesting ladder results there. Just in competitive games, you would never expect Scarlett to lose even a map. Which seems like it's really likely to happen here. 2 Spires out on the way. Some double upgrades will be in effect, but they are much later than she would have wanted them to be. She sees this army and knows that this is going to be a tough one, but it's not impossible yet. She needs to get some good abducts, get a good concave. And Mcanning needs to be, I guess, equally careful not to overinvest. He's being very mature. I like your word. He's being very mature with his army.
Yeah, slow and steady, and now going to push in. See the opportunity. Couple of good feedbacks to start. The abduct does come through on a disruptor. Hits another feedback, another one, and another one. I mean, how many Vipers are there? This is the last one, I think, with energy left. And now Mcanning's just going to take over the space. Scarlett didn't really get that much utility out of the Vipers, so drones go down. The Hydrogen's going to fall, and I mean, Scarlett's hanging back to try and hold on, but Mcanning's lost basically nothing in this fight. And Scarlett is, well, maybe even thinking about what to rebuild. Can she rebuild what she wants to? I mean, her structures have gone down again and again in this game at this point.
Oh my god.
Oh, disgusting.
Yep, those are awfully clumped up lurkers, and she did not respond. She was looking somewhere else. Possibly to the right side, where she is once again dealing with harassment. This time it's DTs, and they do have Blink, by the way. So they can't kill the lurker, but sometimes the lurker can't kill the DT, and this is the DT's here because, well, the lurker could kill it. Mcanning finds the one spot that she's in detection of. Amazing hold position.
Well, the drone's dead. Scarlett trying to hang on in there as Mcanning is.
I would not have been surprised if that was a GG.
Yeah, for a moment I really thought it was a GG, right? I was like, well, that's a bit of an anticlimactic GG time, but like, I mean, okay, no, please pause, says Scarlett. I mean, we need to pause because we've not had enough of them today, ZG. It's just pause day.
Yep, yeah, not because anyone's lagging. Who knows what it is? The situation at hand is just so, it seems like a bit of bizarro world. It's not supposed to be what has happened, but Mcanning has undeniably played a good PvZ, and at every turn has done what I would have expected like a showtime to do. Maybe a little bit later on some things, okay, but the general ideas are all there. Now, right now, Scarlett is not tapping out, not because necessarily she's like, oh, I should win this, what's happening, but also because I know she's been in positions before where, like, there are certain points in StarCraft 2 where any race can basically say, well, I have the army, and if I don't lose the army, then I can rebuild hatcheries, I can rebuild command centers, I can rebuild Nexus, right? If she never takes a fight, and never takes a poor fight especially, she can replace all this economic damage. But it's still not an ideal world for Zerg, right? Because they want to have the economy and a huge bank as well. So she's not in a good position, but she is just basically saying I can win with this army, hopefully, or survive with this army. And she's not wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, surviving is definitely one thing, but I feel like Mcanning's playing such a good game against her trying to survive, right? He's not like headbutting pointlessly. He's very systematic about where he takes the fights and how he's taking the fights. It's a nice abduct, and I'm sure there's going to be some feedbacks coming down. Storm as well. Double time up as the mothership expected to go down. It has to get abducted once more. The carriers are going to get abducted in.
What?
All of those corruptors, what's going on? I don't know. There's some carriers that aren't really, I'm not sure if they are fighting. As I'm kind of, I mean, I don't know what happened, CG. I just know that Scarlett lost 40 supply.
She did not take a very good fight right there.
Yeah.
Having to abduct 3 times and not even getting the mothership is pretty unfortunate. I guess she thought the lurkers would take out the storms, but it didn't happen as quickly as she was hoping for. Maybe also some hotkey issues. It's a bit odd the way she was using her Vipers and her Corruptors. But this is game, man. Like, Mcanning, I feel like the old Mcanning would have struggled so hard in actually killing a pro like Scarlett that she would have eventually brought it back. But whoever this new Mcanning is just tied up the series. 1-1, GG.
Mcanning Hype Train, why did I not believe? You know, here's me being stupid predicting Scarlett 2-0. When was that ever gonna happen? As you go to a game 3, Mcanning is gonna win it all when we return.
this man ever lost a best of 3? I don't think he has, Wardy. I think Mcanning has won all of best of 3s ever to exist in the entire world across all time, from when he was a baby till now. He's gonna win versus Scarlett. That would be quite the upset, but apparently everyone is behind him. Chat is going absolutely crazy, and Scarlett might be living up to her clan tag, which is adepted. She did get a little adepted right there.
She did get a bit adapted, didn't she? She got adapted, then she got carried, and a few other things until she got dumpstered into a 1-1 scoreline. Mcanning played a great game number 2. I feel like obviously so much of that comes off a very comfortable lead early game, though. Does that happen again? Maybe. I mean, I actually think Mcanning's build order choice was smart. You mentioned what he was maybe trying to achieve with the build compared to game number 1. And it worked perfectly, right? Faster lag, going into meters, and nothing's up at the time of the adepts arriving, and it worked perfectly, put him super far ahead, and he played that position out beautifully, so really good stuff from Mcanning. I'm just afraid about him being able to get into that kind of position a second time around, because I do feel he needs that extra little bit of a boost to be able to start controlling the game like he did. And again, once he got there, he did it great, but yeah, getting there can be very, very difficult.
Absolutely agree. In the top right, on Eternal Empire, he is the blue Protoss, Mcanning.
In the bottom left-hand side, our red Zerg player is Scarlett.
It's like one trick, and then what else do you have? All right. Does she get tricked by that again? No. But if she doesn't get tricked by it again, it probably means that she's throwing down at least a Roach Warren as protection. Probably, right? So if Mcanning then predicts that to happen and actually goes straight into carriers, just like game number 1, but this time Scar doesn't have a good enough build, maybe he holds against the Hydralisk attack. Okay, that's the big brain strategy right there.
The mind games.
I think it's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be perfect.
A lot of mind games potentially being played. As Mcanning going to start with a pylon and looks to threaten a second, but of course it is a fake out. He is looking to expand at home, so just trying to get Scarlett a little bit worried that there's a real life cannon rush happening in her base, but there's not. And so we saw Dan Mcanning's having a little bit of a giggle as he cancels the pylon. He's happy with himself. He's happy with the foolery he's played.
I think he wanted more, man. That's like a bit of like, man, Darren.
Initially, he like smiled, but now he's shaking his head a bit more. I'm like, yeah, maybe he did want a bit more than that.
Yeah. Scarlett really didn't, I think the lack of the, I mean, because what usually happens, correct me if I'm wrong, but it usually happens that like all the pylons go down if you're actually serious about it. And then you have a second probe on the way, instead of just waiting for one and then putting it on the low ground. I guess if you're trying to do a tricky version of it, I don't know. But she really didn't believe it. And that was a very appropriate response. So a waste of 25 minerals. And he didn't get his sprays down as fast. But he looked shockingly disappointed at that. For it just being a tiny little thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like a huge deal, right? Like you just said. So yeah, kind of, I'm with you. I'm with you. As I just down and Mcanning doing more of the same. Not really too surprised about that.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe we will see, if this were a best of 5, best of 7, we might actually see him in the cannon rush. But Mcanning's not like the most well-known guy, the most well-known Protoss cannon rushes. So I don't think he would rely on it, and I think it would really only be to throw it in there once. Another target opener is what I actually like to see. I am 100% on board with the idea that Mcanning just goes into a pure fast carrier build again, hoping that Scarlett has to be afraid now. She no longer gets to just say, oh, you're never going to do anything before that. So opening with a Void Ray again, just like the second game, might be a little bit of a tell, but this could also go into more Void Rays, which we still have to pay attention to. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff you can still do as Mcanning. There's a few different ways to switch it up. You mentioned maybe going more than one Void Ray beforehand, and yeah, I'd be down to see a bit of that. That could be some very awesome way to get started here. So again, for now, just the one. Going to come and clean out that Overlord on the high ground, of course, and then we'll see what the next step of this will be. As, yeah, it's going to be an Oracle as a follow-up. So Oracle for the moment. As again, as Scarlett, you just have, you know, you're completely blind, so you've got to be very careful. You've got to be very, you know, you've got to be very, what's the word, like, you can't cut any corners here, I don't think, right? You've got to be very kind of just... I don't have the word at all, apparently. Just completely forgot it. But safe, yeah. Respectful, almost, of the build.
Okay.
Yeah. I was looking for something a bit fancier. My brain doesn't have that many words in it, though, so should have just gone for safe.
Yeah, you're not the posh type of English guy, you know.
No, the problem is most of my vocabulary isn't actually suitable for broadcast, so...
So what would you call your accent?
My accent? I mean, it's a very... I mean, it's a very dull and, like, northeastern Geordie.
Ah, Geordie, okay.
Yeah, but it's like... It's not Geordie on the cast.
Gotcha. I've heard, yes. We talked about this before, but I always forget. Yeah. I love comparing all the English, you know, from all the casters and hosts that we've had. Kalaris English versus your English versus Apollo English, you know, versus Red Eye English. Like. Anyways, the Oracle is a big surprise apparently. No Spore Crawler in the main. It only gets 4 drones, which it honestly could have gotten more, as there was only 1 queen, no Spore Crawler. But the natural now is wide open. That still has energy. SpaghettiOs. Nope, Scarlett gonna take more damage here. There's the 8 drones. There it is. 9.
Like that 9. And how many times have we seen like early oracles do like stupid amounts of damage today? Happened with DNS against Cyril, happened with Showtime against Vanya in the European region. Now Mcanning just walks in and gets 9 drones from Scarlett. Oracles. It's like they buffed them or something. Well, none of the Zergs are expecting oracles apparently.
Yeah. Well, I guess with the Void Ray as an option, it does kind of complicate things, right? Like, there's literally just times where you're like, oh, if it's a Phoenix first, it's always going to be 2 Oracles after. You know, there's been times where that is just the thing to do, or any mix and match, but now you have another Void Ray to include. So Scarlett, like, oh, Void Ray like last game, whatever, I'll just do this, and then actually ends up having an Oracle. So Infestation Pit is down, Swarm Host Nidus is on the way, Mcanning. The one thing that really hasn't happened so much in this series is what we said would happen, which is that Scarlett hasn't really been able to set Mcanning off. I mean, even the first game that Mcanning lost, he still got to the point of what you would usually be a comfortable point. It's not like there was a hatch block or early Ling attack or something like that. Now we finally might see what happens when Scarlett actually gains control over the game. This might be the stop, unfortunately.
Well, Mcanning gets off to a good start though, right? He gets all the information with that scout, so he starts with full information basically. I mean, that's pretty great. I'd take that. He's probably got a good idea of what's going on. He's going to find the first Nidus with the Void Ray. He needs to pop that alignment. Make sure you get rid of this as soon as possible. Obviously, the longer you delay the Swarm Host for, the better. It's not popping it.
It's not popping it.
Well, I mean, it's low enough that it won't actually go down. Although if the Queen's gone out, maybe it could have transfused.
Right, yeah. The Queens are out. If the Queens are brought... Fleet Beacon is slapped down. Now, this is a tough response against Swarmhost Nidus. Like, this doesn't stop, right? Like, even if the first couple of Nidus Swarms don't work, and that is good for the Protoss, it doesn't stop. They just keep doing it. So to try and already dive towards, I guess, a mothership specifically, that could be very risky. Mcanning tries to find the Nidus Swarm. Unfortunately, he does not. The Swarm hosts are out. At least he pops the Locust far away from his...
I like it a lot, but it's only half the Locust, so the rest of the Locusts are going to start moving forward in a moment, and they're going to go straight to the third phase. And obviously now the units aren't in position to fight that. He recalls with the Force Fields. He'll lose one Immortal, surely. I think it did just go down. There's an Archon, a Cannon, a Shield Battery here to help, and it should be okay. It shouldn't be that bad. But it's already kind of Scarlett kind of pulling Mcanning around, forcing a recall. This is already Scarlett doing okay here initially. A couple of zealots across the map. I do like that. It was what was really missing against some of the Swarm Host play we saw in the stream earlier.
But Mcanning doesn't really have many other options to do that. He's got no War Prism, no pylons around the map. He does have spotters and scouters in the Nidus Swarm, but that should be kind of the only zealots we see across the map for a while. The mothership might just get out. It takes so long to produce, even with constant chronos. That's the period of time I was talking about. How much damage does Mcanning take before the mothership is out? When the mothership's out, you can actually start protecting your buildings and your army, as the Locusts can't attack what they can't see. And that's where the Overseer can play a part. I mean, I think Mcanning's gonna be able to save one Nexus to the mothership, because Scarlett would be like, oh wow, he went that fast to a mothership, but only once, and then she brings forward, 3 or 4 Overseers.
Void Ray just a dot away there. And the Locust is going to go flying into the natural expansion. The Nexus Zealot's going to go charging in. There's going to be a lot of these locals continue to go down. We do have a Roach Ravager pushing through. Good Storms out on the front lines. A few corrosive valves going down to break those force fields. I mean, the Storm's definitely helping to fight this, but Shield Battery out of energy, Super Battery too late. It's another dead Archon, and Scarlett is going to keep on trading. I don't like it so much against the Super Battery. Our Mothership is about to pop Zombie Grub, but do you see a way that this changes?
I think the Overseer would have to die, which is usually pretty possible if there's a you know, more air army, but there's only going to be the Mothership and the Void Ray that's not even in position. Spinecrawler deals with the 2 Zealots pretty okay. Mcanning did actually get a Warp Prism across, and I like that. Mcanning has not done a bad job of handling the first rounds of Locust, and maybe the Mothership can do it. The Mothership itself does have an attack, don't forget. It could kill that Overseer. The Void Ray was actually brought back home. Okay, there you go. But as I said, I think this is the only time this happens. Like, Scarlett's going to bring 3 or 4 Overseers next time.
Yeah, she might, but she might not.
Yeah, she's not making any, to your point. You are kind of correct there, Morty.
This is bad, though. Like, all these Locusts going towards that natural, there's nothing defensively in the natural. That cannon doesn't count. It's not going to save this Nexus. So, finally, Scarlett finds big damage. At the same time, Mcanning hits the 5th base. He's going to deny this Nidus, and he's got the Warp Prism into the mains. He's going to force a big pullback from Scarlett, but it's just as Scarlett finds major damage of her own. And obviously, a Nexus is going to take a lot to recuperate. Losing an entire Nexus was Mcanning.
It is kind of interesting, though, because, well, a Nexus went down, a lot of probes went down. So you're talking about the 400 minerals and the time it takes to replace a Nexus. Whereas Scarlett, if she struggles to clean this up, we're talking about however much damage this does, plus how much she's not paying attention to the offensive. Like, I think this is actually going better. The Zealots will be lost, and Mcanning's mining isn't ideal without that natural, but he is getting a 4th. But if he can continue, keeping Scarlett on her side of the map, that's when he can start making some moves. In this case, he moves out in the middle of the map. I think this might be a little too bold. When I said making moves, I might clean up the creep and the Nidus Storm back at home, but he's actually going aggressive.
He's going to get the base. I mean, the Mothership gets abducted, but he's got Storms to go underneath that Mothership, and there's a lot of units that get caught in Time Warp there. He's going to try and recall the Locust drop down, and Mcanning get the hell out. Save that Immortal too. Hey, he gets the 4th base. There's 3 bases of Scarlett right now. That's huge. Is Zealots in the main base as well? I mean, not doing too much, but a few more drones?
Maybe. Mcanning's just going into something so expensive, you know? Like that Mothership going down could have literally been the natural Nexus finally on the way, just simply has given up on it. And she's trying to produce carriers, which aren't going to actually help until they're in a higher number than 3. I mean, at least 5, I would say. As Scarlett is still maxed out with Vipers and technology.
Scarlett's double expanding back on the bottom side. That's pretty big. I feel like Mcanning needs the natural. Like, taking the 4th base is nice, but it's actually basically just like a better natural. You need the natural too. It's still got mining to be had from it, the gas income, etc. So I'd like to see that. Good denial on the Nidus though. This is good. And I think some Zealots on the bottom right just saw the next Nidus time, but they've ran past to go to the mineral line. That's
still going to clear up the stack defense, maybe open up opportunities for later. Scarlett has transitioned away from the Swarm hosts. Well, not really. There's still 20 of them somewhere. No. That's not a very large army.
That saves it. That's massive.
Nicely done. Yeah.
You can't lose the carriers, right? You're just talking about they're not good until you get a good few up. And yeah, obviously you lose one already to an Abdug, which I think it might happen again. It just did. So carrier is going to go down. The High Templar turns around to help, but they just weren't in range. Yeah, that's a shame because now the carriers are just... You know, that one carrier makes the other carriers even less useful.
Yeah, that's a fine way to put it. But yeah, this natural Nexus, I mean, the good news is it can be canceled. The bad news is it has to be replaced. So, yeah, there's that. Mcanning, if he could just scramble together enough resources to get maxed out, his main army would be so much better than the mobile army that Scarlett has right now. You know, whenever the Stormhosts aren't here, Scarlett's army is not large. Whenever the Locusts aren't available, it's not that powerful. But he can't quite get enough together. So actually what's happening is that his army is about the same power as the army Scarlett has here, and she has 20 Swarm hosts elsewhere.
Scarlett's usage of the spellcasters has been better as well. I think just straight up and simple, right? Mcanning's struggling to deny the Vipers getting picks, even though there's only a couple of Vipers. So Scarlett's definitely winning that fight, and that's obviously doesn't bode well for later in the game. Mothership gets yoinked again, needs to get some Storms down, it will drop, and the Mothership saved. But super low HP, so very, very vulnerable for the future. There is a prism bottom right, and there are Zealots that can warp in from that prism, go to the 5th base. I mean, that's kind of what you want as you're pushing around the left side. So you want to be pulling Scarlett apart a bit. 10 Corruptors on the way. Mcanning does have 3 carriers on the map, so you do need those Corruptors.
Ooh, that's going to be difficult for Mcanning to play against. And she's also going just like full on with the upgrades here. Every upgrade is it literally just started. Like these are all base 1 upgrades, but at least she got them started. Nidus rooms are being found out. Mcanning has really done a much better job than I expected against the Swarm Host pressure. I thought it was going to be 2/3 Nidus Worm, maybe. It was going to just have him crumble. Yeah. He has done a great job. It still might just not be enough. The natural once again goes down. The harassment grabs 9 drones, but not much else. Mcanning is grabbing more carriers and a 5th Nexus. I hope he's ready to recall out of this fight if he has to. It's going to be a little scary. Locusts are back home. Viper is still aplenty despite the feedbacks. And Corruptors are on the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of Corruptors on the way as well. There was already 10. This is 5 extra on top of that. Scarlett's eco is low. If Mcanning can take a good fight, then brilliant. But he's down 40 army supply. And that's just because Scarlett has so few workers. But again, if he wins a fight, Scarlett's rebuild's not going to look great. But again, there's another one of those abducts. He tries to make the most of it to get a Viper, but fought by the Locusts. But at least now the Locusts on cooldown for a while. Maybe Mcanning gets another chance. Roaches cancelled this rich Vespine base that Mcanning was trying to set up. That's also going to be 3 Roaches, so I actually don't know if that's also bad. You know, I mean, 3 Roaches right now seems like a pretty good deal to me, but not if you use High Templar for them. No, save the High Templar.
Thank you, Chill Battery. Mcanning desperately needs that 5th because it's actually his 4th. That natural Nexus was never allowed to get up, despite some decent, scouting on top of Nidus Worms. It just wasn't possible. And Mcanning certainly needs that. But if you had to choose the natural and the 5th, I mean, maybe you do choose the 5th just because it's rich Vespian. But
okay, so here's my question, right? Because Mcanning is getting later and later game army up, right?
Okay.
And I know Scarlett's army is good, but I do not feel like if Mcanning is maxed out and starts to build a bank, is he not just in a better position because Scarlett doesn't actually have an economy? Like 50 workers doesn't really cut it. I know Mcanning's low on bases, but maybe Mcanning can just slow the game down a little bit, secure another base, and then I feel like Scarlett almost needs to get 20 more workers up because unless she wins the fight big time, she just won't have rebuild money.
I see what you're saying. Like the Corruptor she was making was kind of pointed towards maybe an acceptance of the late game and getting prepared for that. But when she does feel the necessity to combat the air, when she has to build 30 Corruptors, she's going to have to first get rid of her Swarm Hosts and then hope that her bank is big enough to make those extra Corruptors. So I definitely see what you're saying. The carrier number, it slowly but steadily got up to 7, which is certainly not bad. And it's got at least 1 upgrade, working on the 2nd one. Abducts are pretty brutal, though.
The Zealots on the 5th base are actually just uncounted at all. And now the Zealots warping into main in higher numbers. So Scarlett needs to go everywhere. And this army's just going to move down the bottom side. Scarlett's just lost 20 supply. Like I say, she can't rebuild. She's building Hydralisks.
That's not a good sign, and she still has 20 Swarm Hosts that might not really cut it. They're going to pop their attack and maybe get something done, but that's actually even a question mark. Maybe Mcanning can just retreat. 16 drones have gone down, feedback's still going. There's the Locust that exactly Mcanning just runs away from and comes back once they're done. And behind this, Mcanning got his 5th base back up.
Warping DTs into the main base now as well, right? He's going to start moving through. He's going to go for the greatest fire snipe. There's no detection in the main base. CG, the fleet of overseers is going to fly in. A moment or two too late. Both the spires are going to go down.
Oh gosh, she already has another one on the way, about halfway done, but her army is not actually combating Mcanning's that well. The Corruptors are trying to get in, but they really want those Abducts to help them out, which is actually out of Abducts, I think. She's down to 4 Vipers, and they're all out of energy. They're feedback once again. Nicely done for Mcanning. I cannot believe he's actually doing this, Birdie. He is actually winning against Scarlett.
He needs to keep his cool though, because he's kind of laughing and kind of enjoying himself right now, but he still needs to put the finishing touches to this. He might lose a base across the map as cannons are trying to be left to fight against Swarm Host. The Zealots catch the Swarm Host at the same time though. I think he might lose that 5th base. And remember, Mcanning doesn't exactly have a huge amount of eco. If that base goes down, I mean, neither does Scarlett, obviously, but if it comes down to army versus army, Scarlett can still chip away with the Locusts.
Yes, I mean, the Locust could still be the problem as far as like a long game goes, but oh, it's actually beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The other thing is that these Swarm Hosts can't necessarily help out directly with the army fight, which Mcanning is still threatening.
Yeah,
he's still sharking around, making sure that Scarlett can't get another base. So it is once again down to Scarlett with her. That is the army she's gonna have. And Mcanning, while it's not amazing mining, has gotten the top left up and running and is rebuilding the middle base. And he could also, by the way, still take his natural. And that's actually got some healthy mining.
His natural would actually be so good as he's given up a few carries for free. 1, 2, and is that a third carry that's actually going to go down? What's he doing? He's targeting change lanes. Oh no. Mcanning, he just lost so much.
He was so good about the feedbacks, but of course, Scarlett being on her home turf, defender's advantage, she was able to replenish those Vipers very, very, very quickly. They don't die, they just run out of energy. So maybe Mcanning was hoping, kind of forgot maybe they would have those abducts, wasn't paying attention. That is quite the Spore Crawler line, and that is quite a lot of Overseers, so I think those DTs are a bit screwed. Don't think they do this.
It's okay, so we'll take down this one Spore Crawler. It's going to be fine. Never mind the 10 Overseers overhead. Losing those carriers, though. I mean, he's just gone from 8 to 5, and that's just so much more manageable. He's going to go for this fight, and he's going to get a lot of the lurkers. Storming on top of the Corruptors, but I just don't think the carriers can stand up for themselves. More and more storms coming through. If he just had a couple of Archons to help out, I mean, the carriers are low. I mean, the Corruptors are low. I don't know what's going on, CG. Everything's low. There's barely anything left for either player. Oh my god, but Mcanning's actually mining off 2 new bases, the Ridge Fair Speed and the top left. He doesn't need a fight. He just back away. For a moment or two, I think.
Does he see that? No, he's pulling probes to his 5th or 6th or whatever you want to hell it. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, he's
okay,
gonna
he sees it.
Zealots for
he might lose another Nexus.
Yeah, if the... I mean, does the Swarm Host come out there, though? Because then the Swarm Hosts are kind of stranded, I guess, with Focus with Protect. Yeah.
Okay, alright. I think we both saw where that was going. Like, maybe the Nexus Storm dies and then they're trapped, but it didn't work out that way. But the Locusts maybe now don't get a Nexus. They spent a lot of time on those Zealots. They're not targeting Nexus. Okay, well, there they go now. All right, Nexus will go down, but Mcanning still has 2 bases mined.
That base is mined a lot, though. It's not a fresh base. There's better bases to have killed, for sure.
Yeah. A little oversaturated, no doubts, but I would hope that Mcanning remembers his natural is not in bad shape either. And that would be a freebie. I don't think Scarlett's thinking about tearing down a natural base, right? She's just worried about the outliers. Scarlett, with that maneuver, has managed to finally double expand herself. So she's got 4th base up in just a couple seconds, and a 5th base on the way. 28 workers, though. This is not like an instant saturation of 2 new bases. She's still mostly on the army that we currently see for quite a while longer.
Yeah, if she gets this top left base, Mothership shows up! Oh my god!
That was amazing!
Mcanning, let's go!
Oh, I can't believe this game. I can't believe this series. Scarlett might just lose the Mcan man himself. That's going to be quite a story there. Night's found out. Storm Host to evacuate, and they are headed to the natural again. So I guess maybe she is still considering that. But Mcanning has a 30 supply lead, 10 of it in army. He's built Void Rays to handle the Corruptors. I think he has a better army right now. Like, all he has to do is add a couple more carriers.
He's definitely got a better army, right? The problem is Scarlett's supply has always been 17 to 20 Swarm Hosts that just aren't good in a fight, right? Like, if they fight the army head on, they're just not good. So she's missing like 30 army supply every single time she fights, basically. And that's kind of part of the problem. I mean, they're still doing good damage around the map, but I feel like they're not doing good enough damage anymore. And that's why Mcanning is maxed out and making his way to this 4th base. These Corruptors are still low from earlier. And yeah, he's just going to straight up deny this base. And then Scarlett has basically no mining left. Mothership gets abducted. So what? Double abduct to get the kill. That's how desperate Scarlett is right now. Mothership will go down, but this 4th went down. Mcanning can back away, move down to the 5th base, get rid of that. He's got Zealots to the natural as well, and Mcanning is kind of continuing to make this happen. The 5th base is going to die, CG. I don't believe that Scarlett saves this. There's no way.
Nah, she doesn't really have the ability to. Locusts are going to try and help out in this engagement, but how much? It's still Voiders, still carriers. Abducts on the carriers are trying to take them out, but honestly, the Corruptor count's not even that high.
Yeah.
And now they're being depleted, all very, very weak. It could take forever to kill those carriers. And this might just be it. Scarlett is being attacked in the natural, and this 5th, it is actually going